The world is a wondrous and confusing place. The advancement of science and history and expansion of our knowledge of the Earth gives us a more comprehensive view of our world than ever before. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 mysterious discoveries. Octopus are walking on shore. Octopuses are some of the most well-known sea creatures with their curious 8 tentacles, incredible intelligence, camera-like eyeballs, and slimy bodies. However, a local marine guide from Wales, upon returning from a sunset dolphin-watching expedition, witnessed an octopus in a place where he never expected to see one, on dry land. He reported seeing over 24 of the creatures crawling up out of the water on the tips of their tentacles and moving onto the sand as though part of some mass migration, and soon other locals made reports of a similar nature. It is not unheard of for octopi to take a stroll outside of the water occasionally. Those that live in shallow waters near tide pools frequently use the tips of their tentacles to crawl from pool to pool in search of prey, sometimes embarking on longer stretches if they are especially unlucky in the hunt. A popular octopus at the National Aquarium of New Zealand proved his prowess as an escape artist by crawling out of his tank, across the room, down a drainage pipe, and into the sea. However, scientists are baffled as to why so many of the creatures were existing in a group to such a sandy stretch of beach, one with no tide pools or chance of finding food. They breathe through gills and can only survive out of water for very short stretches of time and must remain moist in order to be able to absorb oxygen from the water on their skin, which is why they have never been known to attempt such a long stretch out of the water. Several octopuses were discovered the next morning having died after drying out too much. Scientists are baffled as to what could cause these small, hand-sized cephalopods to behave in such a dangerous manner. It is possible that a huge change in their environment, brought on by incredibly rough seas around the time that they were spotted, local pollution, or an unusually low tide, could have disorientated the octopi enough that they mistakenly clambered onto dry land. Other theories include illness or parasitic infection, although the creatures that were discovered the next morning appeared to have been in perfect health and died from drying out rather than any infection. Alarmingly, scientists don't know what has caused these octopuses to behave in this manner, and are carefully studying the species for any clues. Scientists are watching proteins repair DNA in real time. Delving into more personal matters, let's talk about anatomy, but more specifically, DNA. We all have it. It is the very component in our bodies that not only consists of codes that determine our features, such as if we will have blue or brown eyes, but it also serves to maintain our body's systems in order to function. It is shaped as a double helix and consists of nucleotides, which are molecules that pair with specific molecules. The pairing of the nucleotides contributes to the double helix structure. The interesting thing about DNA is that it is constantly being replicated with each cell division. In other words, your DNA is being replicated as we speak, and on top of that, it does so about 2 trillion times a day, since cells are constantly dividing. Naturally, with such a high quantity of duplications, it is inevitable that there will be mistakes, breaks, or mutations. The scary thought is that if the mistakes are not properly corrected, it can lead to some health consequences, such as in the case of cancer. However, there is a silver lining. Our bodies have repairing mechanisms in the form of proteins that aid in DNA repair. To advance in treating illnesses, scientists have found it crucial to understand DNA and thus its repair mechanisms, in the hope that it will shine a light that someday will prove to be helpful in the fight against diseases. That is precisely why Dr. Donna Whelan from Australia focused on observing DNA repair via an approach known as single-molecule localization microscopy, which allows for focusing on individual molecules and molecular interactions on a smaller scale, as the name somewhat suggests. Through it, she has been able to pinpoint that DNA is repaired by the body in one of 2 ways typically, either sporadic fusing, where the breaks occur, or via homologous recombination, which is the process where a break is repaired by finding a similar and compatible DNA sequence to attach to the break. The former repair method can be speedy but faulty. The latter is slower but more efficient and less likely to be fallible. Among other observations Whelan made through her introspection, she noticed that a specific protein known as 53BP1 works in an interesting way when it comes to DNA repair. It does not directly work on the repair site, but rather works more as a behind-the-scenes helper, so to speak, as it was viewed to be in the same relative area as the repair site, but not directly at the repair site, but still contributed to the repair. Whelan also cited another observation regarding a protein known as BRCA2. This BRCA2 is typically seen in a negative limelight due to its association with breast cancer. However, breast cancer is a consequence of a mutation in the DNA sequence that corresponds to the BRCA2 protein. And, as it turns out, the protein somewhat redeems itself as Whelan showed that it contributes an essential role in DNA repair, and that there is even a protein that substitutes for it in some cases, which illustrates versatility and redundancy in the different DNA repair mechanisms present in our bodies. All of these observations that Whelan made have left her, among other scientists, to believe that these could very well be useful in applying to modern-day medicine, in the hope of someday being able to replicate them in a lab setting for more effective approaches in battling diseases and disorders. Between the potential sighting of a cosmic string to a long-lost planet within Earth's core to DNA's fascinating repair mechanisms, it is a lot to take in. And believe it or not, these are just barely scratching the surface. It is only a matter of time until there will be a crack in some other age-old mystery or an entirely new discovery. Oxyrhynchus papyri. The Oxyrhynchus papyri are a series of manuscripts giving insights into some ancient civilizations. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, two papyrologists, Bernard Pine Grenfell and Arthur Surridge Hunt, uncovered this collection of manuscripts in Egypt. As professors of papyrology, the pair research, analyze, and study ancient literature, presented and preserved as a manuscript that has been recorded on papyrus. Papyrus was the sole most common writing material used within ancient civilizations, including ancient Egypt, so those who study it are aware of the society, culture, and languages of these ancient societies. Grenfell and Hunt found this extraordinary group of manuscripts nearby to Oxyrhynchus, an Egyptian city and well-established archaeological site. In fact, many suggest that Oxyrhynchus is the single most important archaeological site to have been discovered to date. More specifically, however, the pair discovered these texts in an ancient rubbish dump. Researchers have successfully dated the Oxyrhynchus papyri to the Ptolemaic and Roman Egyptian eras, ranging roughly between 32 BC until approximately 640 AD, marking the Muslim conquest of Egypt. Despite the common connotations with the word manuscript, only an estimated 10% of the Oxyrhynchus papyri are literary, with the majority being comprised of documents such as codes, registers, census returns, petitions, court records, accounts, and even private letters, as opposed to being extended pieces of written work. This is not uncommon in papyrology, with correspondence and legal archives being as significant an element as the literary works. Most of the Oxyrhynchus papyri were written in Greek, with a great deal also being produced in Egyptian, using hieroglyphics, both hieratic and demotic. Some other languages seen include Latin, Arabic, Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac, and Pahlavi, though in decreasing percentages. This presents a grand opportunity for etymological research as well as archaeological, delving into the history and development of each of these individual languages. Since their initial discovery in 1898, over 5,000 of these documents have been transcribed, a momentous achievement considering this information stemmed from boxes filled with tiny fragments and pieces, mere centimeters large. Despite so much having been achieved, this is considered to have only 1 to 2% of the papyri accounted for, leaving a minimum of 500,000 manuscripts left to be prepared, transcribed, and deciphered before the final step, cataloguing. Today, the Oxyrhynchus papyri are stored worldwide in respected institutions, including Oxford University's Ashmolean Museum. These documents have given us a whole host of information, from the written words on topics from maths to drama to religion to the practices and processes of ancient societies. But what do you make of these 3 interesting discoveries from around the world? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.